The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Let me try that again. Hello, and podcast. I'm Justin Hoke. Steve Crawford is not here yet. Malcolm is not going to be able to make it to this show. We've got our guest Daric Barton on with us, and I made a big mistake in sending the link out late. Sorry about that, brother.
Oh, you're good. You're good. I'm here.
So super excited to have you on the show today and get to hang out with you. It's been since the mastermind that we got to hang out.
That's right.
So-
No, thank you for having me. This is my first podcast, so super excited. Although you have a Raiders towel hanging right there, so I don't know how I feel about that.
Who do you follow in football?
Nobody. I'm just kidding. I play fantasy football, so I just follow whoever's playing well.
Oh, nice. If you've got Josh Jacobs as your running back, you're killing it this year.
I do. I do.
Oh, that is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, he's tearing it up. So
And they're finally giving him the ball.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, the last few seasons, they haven't. We got a bunch of comments in, but almost all of them are like, Justin Dummy, turn on your audio. So I'm stepping away for just a second. Yeah. Steve should be popping in here any second. Actually, he just arrived, so that's good. We'll be able to get him over. So somebody on Facebook is laughing and says, it's my bodyguard. So Sean says, hey, nice one. Totally agree. I'm not sure what that was. Hello, what's up, family, says Effie.
Hi, Effie.
No. Effie says hi, everyone, and then a Facebook user says hello,
I love
everyone.
Effie.
So it's good to see Effie. See if we get Steve in here. He's here, but not here yet. So, yeah. Oh, he jumped out again. So anyway, I get this distinction of making the entire beginning of our show with Daric Barton awkward by messing up the link there. Here we go. Here's Steve. Hey, brother. Here, I'm going to pull Daric off and put him back on so I get Steve up here on top.
You guys getting snow out there in Tennessee yet?
No, it's freezing now, but no snow. So
good time for some Titan football.
Oh yeah, well, everybody out here is saying,
crush it.
Yeah, tighten up.
What's up, Steve?
Hey, how you doing? Nice to meet you, man.
Likewise. I hear a lot about you.
Yeah, I hear a lot about you too, man.
Hopefully all good.
It's funny that this is somewhat of an introduction for you two, because we were all part of the same mastermind.
Yeah. There's a lot of people. I didn't meet a lot of people, and I'm not great at networking in general. So, I'm really introverted, and I'm still learning how to utilize networking to its potential.
Really? I would have never thought that you were introverted, brother. I mean, I had so much fun. Every time I've talked with you, it's been fun. And shoot, we got to connect before the mastermind, and actually have a Zoom together, you, me, and my wife, and get to know each other there. Were you at Clever? I don't remember.
I was. My wife and I drove out to Clever. She left early, but yeah, we were there. And for me, that was, I don't want to say something that I didn't take advantage of, but it was definitely something I did not take advantage of. I had no idea what networking was. First networking event I'd ever been to. I'm not a big people person in general, so for me, it was like I don't like crowds very much. You know, I'm very
Okay.
secluded. So the crowds, if I like you and I know you, I can carry on a conversation and not care. But knowing what to say to a new person, especially in real estate where I have zero knowledge, just
Oh, come on.
no, seriously. This was back.
You were
in, what
being
was
so modest.
March? Was it March?
Right. Yeah, it was
Or
March.
April? Yeah, like I joined the community in early March or late February, and so I
You know
had
what?
zero knowledge of real estate.
That's a story I think our listeners want to hear. Okay. What attracted, Major League Baseball player to Pace Morby and this amazing community sub 2?
The short answer was the community. And it was just a few people in the community. The long answer is I stumbled upon his Sunday service. And, I've joined many lives before and never really thought that they cared or paid attention to what was happening in this side chat, right? Because it's usually just spam, spam, spam. And I had posted a question, and Pace actually read my question out loud and then answered it. I'm like, well, that was weird. He interacted with like a question in the side. And I'm like, that had to have been a one-off. And then I asked another question, and he answered another question. And I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on here? I said, why is he picking my question out? And so then I ended up obviously being directed towards the free Facebook group. So then I went to the free Facebook group and was feeling it out, wasn't sure what it was all about. Posted a question in there to kind of, throw the hook out. Carlos Ruiz, of all people, reached out to me, gave me his phone number, said, hey, let's hop on the call. Let's talk. So I'm like, man, this is weird. Why are people like trying to help me? So I got on the phone with Carlos. Carlos had just joined in January. And he was like, man, this community is awesome. This will be a decision that you won't regret if you join this community. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's quite a bit of money. I'm going to just hold off and not just, take your word for it. So continue to do that. Putting questions out there. People would answer. Kevin Cho reached out to me. He was from Irvine. I'm from Huntington Beach, which is right next door. And, he was like, oh yeah, if you sign up, use my link. And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, I had this other guy. I didn't know what it was about. And I was like, well, I have this other guy that actually introduced me to wanting to join the mentorship. And so long story longer, my wife's dream was to build a portfolio. And so she's in real estate development. And so she understands the real estate world. And coming from sports, I don't really have a background in anything business-wise. So I'm like, okay, I was sitting at home for 3 years, retired, sitting on my hands, not knowing what my next path was. Here I have a 4 and a 2-year-old at the time. And I'm like, well, I need to do something to show my kids that, if you have work ethic and you're consistent, then you can achieve goals. They don't know what I did for the 20 years previously. They don't have no idea what kind of work ethic that I had to achieve my first dream. The only dream I ever had was to play baseball. And I achieved that dream, but they didn't see it. So I'm like, okay, I got to do something to show them that you can achieve something at a higher level if you put your mind and you put work into it. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to invest in myself and join this community. And so that's how I joined. And then here we are 7 months later. I've learned a lot, still learning, still trying to figure out what path to go, but made a lot of strides forward, and some backwards, but the majority forward. And I'm learning, and so really enjoying it and looking forward to. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm trying to make a ton of money. I mean, let's be real. I think building generational wealth through real estate is definitely a vehicle in which I think super beneficial. But I won't limit it to that. There'll be other avenues, but I think that's going to be the foundation.
Yeah, well, I can just speak for myself there. It's been such an honor getting to become your friend over the last 7 months. I don't know how early on we met each other, but I remember in your journey, I think it was probably somewhat early on. And it's just been amazing. I mean, the story I love to share is, in that first meeting, I was feeling a little bit dorky because, I'm talking to, I grew up watching the A's. My grandpa's a big A's fan, and one of the teams that you played for, and probably the team you played for the longest, was the Oakland A's. And so I was a little bit nerding out when we first talked, and you were tremendously, approachable, and, made me feel real comfortable. And then of course you're like, man, I'm going to give you some value right away. What's your grandpa's name? And you gave my grandpa a baseball bat, which, made his millennium, made my day as well. And, made my millennium as well. That was super awesome. So, I mean, for you folks in sub 2 and outside of sub 2, you want to do deals with Daric. You want to meet Daric and be involved with him. Steve looks like he's itching to ask a question. Since I've been hogging things up, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to you, Steve.
No, it was great, man. I was enjoying the story. But what I was super curious about, I've been dying to ask, actually, since you told me we were going to bring Daric on, was, like there's so much is like compared to sports and entrepreneurship. Like there's so, especially like when you get to like the level of like Kobe Bryant or like Michael Jordan in like sports, and like there's always that they always use that to kind of like describe the level of dedication it takes to reach a goal, because I guess it's something that can be scored. And I'm just curious, when you hear that comparison, now that you're kind of doing a real estate in an entrepreneurial way, do you think that comparison is fair?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Comparing anybody to the top 1% of the 1% is very hard to do, right? It's like, and I'm not saying that we can't get to these levels, because I think it's possible. But when you're talking about the Michael Jordans, the Babe Ruths, the Ken Griffey Juniors, the Nolan Ryans, the Kobes, right? You're talking about the Tiger Woods, the elite of the elite. And getting to that level, I think it's a combination of things. It has to be the right combination of not only putting the work in, but it's being in the right place at the right time. It's having the right opportunities. It's capitalizing on the right opportunities. And it's also decades of work to get to that level. Like, looking back to just what I was able to achieve, it took 20 years to get to the pinnacle. And that was just the beginning. That was just to enter the space. I wasn't the 1% of the 1%, like the Mike Trouts of now, the Aaron Judges of now, Jacob deGrom, the guys that are the elite of the elite. Can you get there? Yes. Is it going to be normal and easy? No, I don't think everybody's made to do that. I don't think everybody's made to do what Pace does. I don't think everybody's made to do what who's the guy that does all the multifamilies? You know, oh, the Cardones. I don't think people.
Right.
Sorry, I don't know all these people, right? I'm learning about all these high level people. I don't think everybody's made to do that, right? So it's really hard to compare yourself to people that are at a level that they have worked decades to get to, and they have sacrificed a lot, because it takes a lot of sacrifice to get to the highest levels of the high level. So when looking at your own journey, you have to look at it not as where they're at and if you can get to their level, but like, what can you do next to get to your next level?
Okay.
It's really hard to compare yourself with people that are at the top of the top. It just really is, because you'll be working for years, right? Say you're working for 3 years in this space and you're nowhere near where they're at. And so mentally it could be tough. But when you just try to get a little bit better or learn one thing instead of trying to learn everything at one time and get to their level, get to the next level, and then slowly build yourself up, because it's not going to happen quickly. And if you want it to happen quickly, you're going to be disappointed.
Sure. So I guess like yeah, I see what you're saying about that. I wonder, you know, kind of just in general, just like the what level of commitment it takes to even make it into we are talking about the 1% of like the most elite athletes in the world, you know, and that I do see what you're saying. And those are the examples that people refer to, because like they're the most awe-inspiring to see, you know. But I mean, even just to make it into that onto the field out there is an insane feat, you know. I mean,
Right.
really, like what the difference between like your average person in like Major League Baseball or the NBA and the superstar is incremental. You know what I mean? And so like I don't know, like it's crazy to think about like how much dedication it takes to do that, and then how much dedication does it take to become, you know, maybe not like the most elite person out there, but the actual, you know, like guy who's maybe the average badass. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The amount, look, it takes sacrifice and dedication for years and years.
Sure.
Now, some people are more naturally gifted than others.
Yeah.
Like myself, I felt like I was gifted coming up. I wasn't one. When I came up, we didn't have all the technology and stuff that they have now. And so I didn't go see, you know, coaches and trainers and learn all that kind of stuff. It just kind of came naturally. I loved the game. Nowadays, they're so advanced with everything as far as sports goes, right?
Right.
The dedication, you have to sacrifice years of your life in order to achieve anything at a high level. Like sacrifice, being consistent, doing it day in and day out for years. You're not going to get to a high level of performance until you do that. Like it just doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. Well, how do you feel like you said you started out real estate, you know, pretty recent. It's like been like less than a year, right?
Yeah. So I joined Sub 2 in February. I didn't know what real estate investing was. I was pushed towards the stock market for the last 18 years, the past is the past, and I'm looking for a new avenue, and stocks just wasn't it anymore. And so I got in because I wanted to buy property. I just didn't know how to buy property. And so
Right.
when I heard Pace talking about you can buy property without your own money, you know, that's like, okay, well, how do you do that? Let's go do that.
Sure.
And then I got in Sub 2 and I realized, oh my gosh, there's all these different lanes to make money. How do you pick just one? And so that's kind of been where I'm at the last 5-6 months, is trying to figure out what lane that is.
Yeah, that's just what my next question was going to be. Like, what did you end up picking? Are you still kind of looking at that?
Man, I mean, I'm still looking at it. I've tried to stop thinking and just doing. And so
Yeah.
right now I'm literally just trying to find houses that we can buy on creative terms. So I'm targeting a niche list of little to no equity, the Kevin Cho method, if you will.
Yep.
And other than that, I'm trying to learn about banking. And so doing banking, right? I am in the process of opening a whole life insurance and going down the whole infinite banking route. And so I'm trying to learn about banking. So those are the two things that I'm focused on now, is trying to either find some creative deals to wholesale. I'm partnering with Molly on a couple of deals in Colorado Springs that we found that we don't really know what we're going to do with. One of them we think we're going to wrap, and then maybe just wholesale the other one. But something, I'm just trying to do something and not overthink it. So banking on one side, and then trying to find creative deals. Right now, I'm close to. No, I won't give my tricks out, but yeah, creative deals that we can take over with a low entry fee.
Smart.
Did you happen to? Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'll go after you.
Oh, did you happen to catch our episode on infinite banking that we did a few weeks back? We had David. Oh man, David Bagley on. It was very, very intense episode.
I missed it, but I'm gonna have to go back. The one thing I have noticed is, because I've been trying to actually do work, is I haven't been as active in the group, right? Like I've been trying to, make money on the side opposed to take content in, because early on I took too much content and didn't take enough action. But I'll have to go back and watch that one, or if you can send it to me.
Yeah, I'll send you a link.
Perfect.
No, I had the exact opposite problem when I first started out. I was like a couple of Zooms in, I just decided to like stop watching Zooms and only take action, and then got lost a little bit on following up on like all the good stuff that was coming out. Now I'm trying to backtrack all through like all the old stuff, man.
Well, I think now that I look at it, I think that's the way that we're supposed to do it, right? We go create some issues and then go back to the Zooms and figure out, okay, how do we resolve the issues?
Yeah, that's generally how it's worked for me. Like I just kind of tackle the problems as they're presented for me, and it's worked out all right. I mean, I think that, shoot, man, there's got to be some sort of strike a balance there. I think that might be better, where I'm a little bit more caught up on what's going on, and I'm a little bit more involved with like other people in the group, because I think I miss out a lot on that too. But shoot, I don't know, man. It's like, it's hard to say. I guess you just got to find that balance and what works for you,
Yeah.
Trying to figure it all out. It's cool that you got started, and you got recently, but you got started and then everything started happening for you right away. What do you attribute that to? A lot of people start and they don't find a deal. Like even people who are successful, like Munif, like I don't think he found a deal for like a year. Some people like just struggle with that first deal. What do you think it was? I know for me what I think it was, but I want to hear your answer first.
I don't want to say my first deal was an accident, but the lady needed a loan. And so I approached her saying, hey, because I was doing lending, a little bit of lending early on when I joined, because all I kept hearing was, oh, you need to provide value. You need to provide value. I'm like, I don't know what kind of value do I have? Like, what do you want? You want some advice on like hitting lessons? Like what kind of value do you want? I know nothing about real estate. And so I had a little bit of money stashed away, and I was like, okay, well, maybe if I try to bring value by maybe lending some money, I'll get into the community a little bit quicker, whatever the case was. And so she needed a loan. And so it ended up being that she would have lost more money by lending me the money than selling me the property that she was trying to get the money for to pay the arrears off on. And so for me, I mean, I don't say it was by accident, but it was because I was trying to help her with something else, and where it just worked out better that deal worked for me buying it, I guess. And we're still waiting on it. Like it's closed 7 weeks ago, and I'm partnering with a guy in Florida, Rick Corbett, on a flip. It's just a little small retirement condo. But we've been waiting 7 weeks for permits to be pulled. But I get it. Like it's really the lack of action that you're taking, right? You think about it, and like if so I've struggled with going to work for another team, work on a team or for somebody else's business. Like I've battled that for the last 6 months and I still haven't done it. It's an ego thing for me. Like my ego gets in the way of a lot. But a lot of times if you take the pressure off yourself and go and try to help somebody else, right? I think that would be probably the most efficient way to do your first deal, is to work it with somebody else, because you're no longer stressing about what you have to do yourself. You have to do everything yourself. I would go back and work with somebody else and try to work on their leads and call for them and learn from them. For me, that seems like it would be the easiest way, because it's not your deal anymore. You're just helping somebody else. But if they close that deal, you're part of that deal. Did I lose you?
Yeah, I think Steve is starting to lag a little bit.
I'm gonna turn it over to you, Justin.
Okay. Well, I've been trying to get that link for folks in the background. People wanted that link for the Infinite Banking show that we did a while back. So I'm going to post that. I'll get it over to you as well, Daric, but I'm going to go ahead and post that in the comments for folks here. So that's the link. Don't go over and watch it now, please, folks. Wait till this show's over. Let's hang out with Daric for a bit longer, and but there's the link for y'all, so you can bookmark it later. And you're getting a lot of love in the comments too, Daric. Joel's
Joel's great,
and others are commenting and saying how relatable you are and whatnot, and that's fantastic. That's been my experience getting to know you as well, is that you're very relatable. I mean, shoot, first time we met in person was at that restaurant in the evening before the mastermind. And, it was like we'd been friends forever. Walked up, gave each other a big hug, introduced me to your wife, got to meet her for the first time. I was able to introduce you to Yatong, well, I mean, you'd already met Yatong over Zoom by then, but yeah, it was fantastic. And honestly, that's one of the things that we're learning about in Sub 2 and in you guys were just talking about teaming up and joining other people's teams and working together and whatnot. And I've got to say, the Grow Giver community, we're a big champion of working together. And so also in the Sub 2 community, working together, you can either get your slice of watermelon working together, or you can get your whole grape by working by yourself. And, what would you rather? I'd rather a slice of watermelon than a whole grape. And I was telling the folks, we had sort of spent this morning doing a live, hanging out with people in the Grow Giver community. But before this show, and that was one of the things we were talking about there as well, was how in the formation of the team that Steve and I are part of with Malcolm and another mystery partner who we haven't listed yet publicly, but we will, and at some point, and how when I started, just from my perspective in multifamily, my focus was I'm going to try to make myself as valuable as possible so that I can bring a deal to one of these teams doing it, and they'll have no choice but to bring me on the GP side and teach me how to get things done. And I didn't know that when I joined up, didn't really know when I joined up with Steve and Malcolm that that we'd be able to move this fast. But that joining up together has compounded things, right? Right now we're working on two apartment complexes. Our goal was one by the end of the year, and we might have two. So that's amazing.
So when you decided you were going to start your multifamily journey, you guys weren't always going after multifamilies. Is this like something that happened within the last few months?
Well, I wanted to do multifamily from day one.
Okay.
From the minute that I got into sub 2, I wanted to do multifamily. That was what was really exciting to me. But Tong was like, I think we got to be wholesalers. And if you remember her journey, she was doing that for a long time, and she talked to Pace and said, I'm trying to do this, but I really hate making calls. That's the reason why there's the whole Avatar series in sub 2, because she asked that question, and Pace is like, you're not a wholesaler. You've got a great W-2. You've got capital. You're a buyer.
Yeah.
So that's when he decided that he was going to teach us all. Look, there's more than one way to skin a cat in this REI journey, and so that was that. But once I fully committed to being to doing real estate investing on this level and being part of the sub 2 community, the goal was always multifamily. And then I got to talk to Oscar Jamez at Clever and spend some time just really talking with him. And he, at that point, he had already decided I'm all in multifamily. And that was just that extra little thing that got me excited. Shortly before that, Carlos and Keston had gotten their deal here in Tennessee, their first one. That sort of put them on the map as multifamily guys, and that really inspired me too. And so it was always in the buzz. But
when you mentioned something about if you were to bring a multifamily opportunity to somebody else who can then have no choice but to have you on as a GP because you brought the deal. Was that successful for you? Were you able to achieve that and have them actually basically do the deal with you or walk you through it?
No, because of the mastermind and because of the partnership, I was able to skip that stage. We formed our own team and we started doing that. But that's what I teach in the Grow Giver community on a fairly regular basis. I'm teaching people how to follow that method that I was planning to follow. Because not everybody is, a mastermind student in sub 2 and has been doing this for a couple of years and is able to partner up with some amazing team members like Stephen Crawford. I mean, shoot, I get to be partners with Stephen freaking Crawford, the straw hat guy who's partners with Pace on mobile home parks. And I'm so honored and privileged to get to be partners with Malcolm Finlayson and Stephen, and we get to build this amazing thing together. So not everybody's got that. So so my goal is to help people to get as valuable as they possibly can get. I want to teach them how to make themselves valuable so that they can start their journey and get this knowledge and take a shortcut.
Yeah, no, I like that because as an outsider, not in the multifamily space, knowing that at the end, my end goal is to get into multifamilies, storage units, triple net lease, mobile home parks, like that's the end goal. It's not sexy, but I don't care about sexy, right? Like it's not about being sexy for me. I don't want to manage 300 single family homes. I really don't. And so from the outside, these are some of the things that, I wonder.
I don't know about anybody else, but I find it damn sexy. Not to interrupt you there.
Well, I guess I'm more thinking about like storage units or laundry mats in my head. I'm thinking about the stuff that's not super. It's just not talked about a lot. The multifamily, yes, the multifamily for me, I feel sexy because it's it's a bigger deal. storage units and RV parks. Yeah, I mean, they're not sexy, but I know they're awesome, right? They're not talked about as much. But coming from the outside, these are the questions that I have is like, okay, well, how do I even get into it, right? Like, what steps do I take? Everyone seems like they've got their teams already set up. And so mentally, I'm always like, okay, well, how do I, I don't want to, I'm not going to start my own team. I don't know the first thing about, commercial stuff. So, how would one go about working with teams that are already formed? Like, is it my job to bring the deal to somebody else? If that is the case, okay, well then how do you figure out how to find those deals to bring to somebody else?
Yeah, no, I'm glad you asked that question, because really that's what I'm trying to do in the Grow Giver community, is teach people how to do that. So, and you're a member of the Grow Giver community. You were one of the first people I invited over. I was like, man, I want Daric in here. And
I'm sorry, I haven't been in there much. I don't know what all these different groups are, to be honest with you. I'm not good with
I get it.
technology or social media. So, come here, son.
Hey, who's this?
This is Carter. They had dress up at school today. You want to tell them what you are? Tell them what you are.
I'm Army.
He's an Army Ranger.
Well, thank you for your service.
What do you say?
You're welcome.
Yeah, no. I did join early, and thank you for inviting me. I'm going to have to get in there more often. I had no idea exactly what it was about, and I never figured it out because I never went in there. So I apologize for never coming in there.
No, it's all good. I mean, it takes a while, and there's so many communities to join, right? I mean, there's the Paces free group, which is a tremendous resource to us, right? We can JV and squat up with people, and this was the Grow Giver. This was birthed. I came up with the idea just before, from Pace's social media Zooms, just before the mastermind. And then at the mastermind, I hunted down Steve Crawford, and I said, man, I want to do something with you. How does a podcast sound? And he's like, I want to do a podcast too. So yeah, right there at the mastermind, the podcast was birthed. And we've been just trying to be taking that consistent action. But so much came out of that mastermind. And but back to that original question, and I was blessed by the $1 Million Upside team in a major way. The $1 Million Upside team, they started doing a lot of this. They're a couple of chapters ahead of us. They started doing this, and they Carolyn and Myron invited me while we were at the because they knew I was somewhat interested in multifamily. At the mastermind, they invited me to jump into their virtual office and just sort of listen and learn a little bit. So I started doing that, and then they started calling brokers. And I saw that as, okay, that's lead gen, for multifamily.
So
And
brokers is the way you have to call brokers. Is that's step one?
yeah, I mean, you got to be either direct to broker so that you can get an off market deal, or gingerly on market. Still being direct to broker is the way is what you want. If the deal is good, it doesn't matter if it's on market. It's just if it's on market, there's a lot more eyeballs on it. Or you want to be direct to seller, and you can do lead generation things that do both, but it's easier to be direct to broker. So that's what I teach folks, is how to begin to build those relationships with brokers, because that's what Carolyn Briley and KJ Mudd taught me. Was how to do broker outreach.
I know. I've seen Joel talking about talking to brokers is a lot easier than talking to being direct to seller or maybe even direct to agent on the single family side. So it's always piqued my interest as to what it's like to work with brokers on that side. Yeah, so that was why the question I have. But I think a lot of people have this question, right? And it's just like, how do you get into multifamily? What's the first step if you were to and how do you pick a team to work with, right? Like all these different questions that you have when you're first starting out or even thinking about multifamily. So thank you for that answer.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to answer your question. I'm hoping that we can get this back to where we're asking you questions because people are here to, they get to hear me talk about this stuff all the time. But we want to know more about Daric Barton and his journey. But at the same time, man, I'd be tickled pink if you're interested in knowing more on multifamily. We can talk about that anytime you want, brother.
Perfect. What questions do you have for me? I'm an open book.
Well, let's see if Brother Steve has gotten his lag taken care of a little bit and can ask you a few more questions.
Are you borrowing the neighbor's internet, Steve?
No, I actually live in Yuma, Arizona, and the internet is just terrible here. I'm going to be investing in, I guess, Starlink or whatever they call Elon Musk's satellite internet coming up before the next show.
Move up here to Phoenix. Yeah, we got good internet here in Phoenix.
Yeah, he said you got it.
Yuma, it's about right corner. Is that lag still kicking in pretty hard, huh?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
I'm in Phoenix and we have good internet.
Yeah, you got amazing.
No, I'm down.
You're using 3G.
Yeah, he muted himself again. Sorry about that, Steve. Man, Steve, for those of you out there, yeah, we normally the way that the format of this show is set up is Steve is the primary host, I'm the producer, and that's something also I just put out there to folks. The Grow Giver community would love to help you. If you've got an idea for a podcast that you want to do and a show that you want to do, I would love to be involved in helping you in that journey and helping you produce a show and get things going. I want to grow this community, and one of the ways that I can add value to those in this community is by bringing you content. And there are amazing people like Stephen Crawford and Daric who and others who have stuff to share, have value to share. And I'd love to be able to bring that to you all. And if you've got value to share, connect with me. Let's figure out a way that you can bless this community as well. Daric, I'll just go with you. What is ways that people can JV with you, squat up with you, bring you value in your REI business?
That's a good question, Justin. I honestly, I don't have an answer to that. I'm still trying to figure out myself how to add value to other people. And that's a good question. I don't have an answer for you, to be honest. Because I don't know. I'm still at that point in my journey where I'm still trying to figure out what path I'm going down. And so dude, honestly, that's a hard question to answer because I really don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's brainstorm here. I mean, I know that you just said that you have you mentioned storage units. What a neat way to go. Have you thought about going all in there? I mean, I can show you how to lead gen there and start that business.
I have not. I have thought about a lot. I have not taken the action of going all in on any one particular thing. Full transparency, the last 4 months, we've been doing a lot of stuff behind the scenes as far as, let's just say, getting out of the stock market and into other vehicles. And so my focus has been solely on trying to harness the financial side of things when it comes to my family and my life and make sure that we're okay moving forward and protected. So that has been.
I've got little ones as well. I know the routine. So does Steve.
It's a toy barn out there. So we were focused on that for a long time, but now like everything has, kind of settled down, and I'm able to really focus on what we're trying to do. I haven't decided what 100% to focus on. That's been the hardest thing for me to do, because there's one part of me that says my family, I need to produce money now. And then there's the other part where like, I want to set a foundation for money later. So
Right.
that's kind of what I've been battling. So there's a lot of indecisiveness when it comes to that. But I would love to partner with people on many
I would
different
love to find
promoting
ways to work with you, brother. I would absolutely love to find ways to work with you. And
Maybe I'll just hop in with you guys and I'll just learn from you guys and see if I can provide value that way. I've got some contacts, so I do have value. I just have to figure out how to use it. That's all.
Yeah, figuring out the leverage part is amazing, right? I mean, and that's we want to also, like, with one of the things we've been mentioning and to our viewers for a while now is, well, for a little while now, because it is so new, is this deal we've got going on in Texas, 168 units.
Wow.
2 apartment complexes. We're super excited about that. And we want to give everybody an opportunity to partner with us. So we're still figuring out how to make that a possibility. But the returns in investing and stuff like that that's one of the best ways to get your money working for you, is investing in real estate, and investing in multifamily is a huge way to go. But we'll figure out how to do that, and we'll get that out to folks. And man, not to go on and on about that, but for folks here who are watching, we titled the show today, strategies in real estate investing, or real estate investing strategies and whatnot. What are some of the things that you've picked up from Pace that have been like that get you excited, that make you think, what, I'd really like to explore this and learn more about this? I mean, I do agree, before I hand it back, I do agree that you got to get that first plate spinning. You got to commit to one thing and go all in for at least 90 days to doing just that one thing, and start to get some success before you start spinning the next plate. But what are some of the things that excite you that Pace has talked about?
To be completely honest with you, one of the biggest things that has excited me is he told a story of he loaned like $200 and something thousand to somebody needing EMD for an apartment complex. And this was early on in my journey. And he was like, when I did that, I was able to negotiate, like, he got 2 apartments out of the deal, like $20,000 at closing, and like 5% of the deal, right? And I'm like, wait a minute. You mean just for lending somebody earnest money on a multifamily, you were able, now I get it, it's Pace, right? Not everybody can negotiate like Pace. I'm not thinking that I can negotiate like him. But the thought of being able to help somebody purchase a multifamily unit just by giving them money to be able to secure that property for a month or 2 while they find funding or whatever. I don't know how it works in multifamily, but that was the first thing before Gator lending ever happened, right? That was like, man, if I could just somehow find a way to bring value to somebody who's trying to buy a multifamily by way of lending them earnest money in this fashion, like that could be my intro to multifamily in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And so that was probably the biggest thing that piqued my interest, was one, because I didn't have much value to bring early on in my head. And so that's what I gravitated to. Now, the thought of being able to hold physical assets. And by the way, Joel has some pretty good questions on the side chat. If I'd love to answer some of his questions as well. He's always great about questions.
Yeah, he sure is. I'll get that last one up that he
There you
asked.
go.
You can hit it when.
Okay. But now understanding that you can hold properties, and yes, I know the market is shifting, but I think that's the benefit us knowing how to use creative finance, and which
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
finding out is beneficial right now because I have had a little bit of traction on that side of things. So understanding that you can hold properties for little to no money out of your own pocket. Now, I know he doesn't use any of his own money. I don't know if I haven't had to raise capital yet. In all reality, I just haven't had the opportunities present themselves, and I haven't thought about raising money before I needed it, right? Like they tell you to. Obviously, they tell you everything you need. But PACE brings so much value in so many different ways that it could be, if you don't know what you're looking for, it could confuse the hell out of you because there's so many ways to make money.
Yeah, shiny object syndrome.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And it's up to us to determine, okay, you need to figure out what way you want to go and go for it. Like and for me, it's been like, I've been trying a few different things to see whether or not I like it. And there are some things that I don't like. I don't like cold calling. I know I'm a buyer. I know I want to invest in stuff. Bigger things, right? Like I know that's the end goal, but I think being able to find, again, like I was alluding to earlier, like the next step, not the last step, but I need to find the next one. So for me, doing earnest money on multifamily, that has been something that I've been dying to do just because I feel like there's a good return, honestly, and other people get to own the property and fulfill their dreams, and I'm helping them along the way with a good return on my investment. And then holding properties. I want to hold a handful of properties, single families, just so just for a foundation of like, okay, if my kids, once they're older, they'll have some properties if times ever get hard and they can do whatever the hell they want to do. But after that foundation is set, I want to build into other things and kind of maximize the whole real estate potential. And really knowing, again, it's who, not how, right? And
Right.
it seems like it always reverts back to that. It's like, who can I work with? Who can I bring value to? Who has the same goals that I have, and we can achieve those together by all playing our parts. And it alludes back, for me, everything is teamwork. I like being a part of a team. If I didn't like being a part of a team, I would have played tennis, right? Like that's just not for me. I enjoy working with other people. I enjoy having a job to do and doing that job and being able to check that off every day, right? And so when you're doing it all yourself, it's like you got all these different boxes, but you're only checking off like one or two a day, and you feel like you're not doing something because you're not checking off all the boxes. Joel, all right, let me see. When working with a team, how did you coordinate with each other, and how did you split focus between your niches? So again, it goes back to kind of like checking off boxes. Like we would get to the field, say we had a game at 7:00, and this is after spring training. Spring training is they have everything written down on a sheet. Everything is timed. We have 12 minutes to do this, 15 minutes to do that, and we had stations, right? We would just listen to the coaches. When the season came, it was more so on us to have a routine, right? Because a lot of things in life are based off routines. So say we had a 7:00 game. I was different than a lot of people. I would show up at 12 or 1:00. I didn't have a life. My life was going to the field and playing baseball. So I'd show up early, a lot before anybody else. I would get dressed. I would kind of just, get into I guess not the mood, but that's, get into the preparation, the mindset, right? And so whether you worked out before, some guys worked out before, some guys worked out after, whatever. So you get there, you work out a little bit, and then you go to the batting cage and you get your routine done. And you have a routine. You do something that you've done, and in order to get there, you have to continue doing that because that's how you got there. Don't change once you get there. So we do the batting cage and then come and maybe eat some food. And then once, we would wait until 3:30 or something if we had a home game, and we would go out and stretch as a team. Some guys had early work, but everything was structured a certain way, and you would just follow that structure every day. So yes, a lot of it's before you get to the field, we were on our own. So we had our own routines. But once we started stuff as a team, everything was done together. And, pitchers did their thing. They had their own routine. Position players had their routines. And again, I've been very blessed to be part of 5 championship teams in my life. And achieving a like goal, when everything comes together and you finally achieve that goal, that's what it's all about. That's what you worked the last 9 months for. Right, you worked for that particular day, and to see it all come to fruition is, I mean, you see it when you watch championship teams. Like, the emotion is real, and so being a part of a team and thinking about buying a multifamily and closing on it, and then seeing the whole thing through until whatever your exit strategy would be, whether to be sell it or hold it for a long time, like that's the feeling that I think about when I think about real estate.
Love that. Yeah, that's super exciting in the sense that I have not actually made that comparison before in my mind, although it seems to be somewhat of a natural one. I need to mute this so I can cough. Hold on just a second. All right. So we just lost Daric for a second, but Steve, how's your lag going? Are you back with us, brother?
I don't know. How far behind am I?
You're not very bad right now. I mean, you're moving and your lips aren't in sync, but other than that, I think we're pretty good.
So terrible. I'm sorry.
We can navigate it. Hey, we're just pivoting. We got to make adjustments on the fly.
Yeah, and
man, I'm
the lag makes the tennis game of who talks win a little bit more difficult because I'm not trying to talk over Steve and he's not trying to talk over me. It's just with that lag, he thinks I've paused and I think he's paused, and that sort of thing. So I'm excited that that's going to get worked out soon for Steve. But we've been able to manage fairly well, even with it, which has been awesome. And it's been a tremendous show. We're right at the end of the hour here. Normally our show goes an hour. We, if our guests cool with it, we sometimes go a little bit beyond that. And so we're happy to do that. If you're happy to be on for a little while longer, Daric, we love to have a little more of your time.
No, I'm out of here.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, when our people called. When our people called your people, they said, respect Daric's time, and
Well, who'd you talk to, my son?
So yeah, if folks want to get you on, if folks would like to get you on their podcast or on their stages, so that they can get to talk to you and whatnot, how do they go about reaching out to you, brother?
Yeah, so my son, he loves fire trucks. If you show up in front of the house with a fire truck, I'm sure you guys can negotiate all the time that you want. Just reach out.
He's your manager, right?
Yeah. The youngest one, the oldest one, he gives too much of my time away. The youngest one's a little bit more cringy. I'll put my information. I'm really open. This is my first podcast. I've never I've done interviews before when I was playing, but nothing since I was playing really. This is, but I also know that I need to put myself out there and be uncomfortable. So I do plan on that. So I'm open to doing other people's for sure. Um, I don't like having to produce or make sure that I'm coming up with the topics. Like I would love to just be the one that can answer questions. I've always done better answering than like coming up with my own. So uh, I'll give you my information and then they can reach out to you or you can just give them my information.
All right, very cool. And we'll try to make sure we get that in the for folks who want it in the description section of the YouTube um, version of this feed. I mean, there's several places right now where people can get this video on Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn, and there'll be several more in the coming weeks as we figure out how to get this broadcasted in other places. But we'll definitely try to get that into the area for you, description area for you folks watching. Um, Brother Sean Baxter says, does a Hot Wheel fire truck count?
Absolutely. We love Hot Wheels. Although I will say, I'm very close, and I've been trying to push my wife to this. For every toy that comes in, we need to be donating a toy because
Oh, love it.
the toys for me are just like, I get it. Kids need toys, but it's not about toys for me. Like I would rather the kids have experiences. So yes, Hot Wheels do count. They are definitely suckers for Hot Wheels. That is for sure.
Joel, thank you for the encouragement. We love the encouragement, you guys. You guys are awesome. And we thank you so much to our audience. We thank you so much for taking time out of your day and giving this time to us and allowing us to speak into your lives and through this podcast and the other media that we do. We understand that you don't owe us your time, that you don't owe us your attention. It's very valuable to us. It's our privilege to be able to be on here and to be able to spend time with you and hopefully bring value to you. And that's what we want to do here on the Grow Giver podcast. Again, I want to remind you all that next week, November 4th, we're having Vina Jetty on. We're very excited about that show. Vina is amazing in the multifamily space. She is truly a multifamily celebrity. All three of us got to, I don't know if you guys were introduced to her before the Clever Summit, but we all got to see her. And at least for me, it was the first time at the Clever Summit on Cody Sperber's stage explaining multifamily. And I've been just enthralled with her ever since. And for those of you who don't know, Vina is such an awesome person. She is a member of the Grow Giver community. She's in the Grow Giver community, and she has even spent some time posting in there and being active and sharing content with you folks. And she has her own community as well that she's trying to build. It's brand new. And we have put some links and stuff in our community so you can go over and support her. We really want to give her support, show her some love as she breaks into that, into the Facebook group community building. It seems like everybody's wanting to learn from Pace and what he's done in this amazing field of community growing in REI. And so it's definitely a good way to do it. I'm glad that we get to have him as a mentor who gives us so much access to himself, which is amazing. In addition to that, folks, and maybe this is the first time you've heard it, I'm kind of excited about it. We're having Pace on the show. He's agreed to be on for us in the coming weeks. We don't have an exact date for you yet. but that is going to be amazing. We're super excited about that. And um, thanks for putting up with my sort of housekeeping stuff right now. Daric, it's been such an honor and privilege to have you on the show. Um, and I was really inspired by the story that you shared. Pace is the amazing storyteller, right? The storyteller, right? And that story, I remember first time I heard him tell that story too, about lending, doing EMD lending on a multifamily, and I mean, definitely ninja, right? I mean, he can he can figure out how to make a good deal into a, oh my goodness, you did what deal? Uh,
His mind just works on a different level. And it is so interesting to see how easy he makes everything look and seem. But little do we know the time and energy that he's put into years and thousands of conversations with people to make it look that easy.
Yeah, he's definitely well. And the other thing, we want to also not discourage those of you getting involved. In one of the recent Q&As that I had the privilege of being in with Pace, somebody, an older person, a person in their 50s, was saying to Pace, "Well, yeah, that's easy for you. You're not even 40 yet, but what do I do? I'm 50." And Pace stopped and focused in on that one person and said, "Did you know that Grant Cardone was broke at 52? How old is Grant Cardone? Grant Cardone is 64 and a billionaire. How do you go from being broke at 52 to a billionaire at 64? It's by taking consistent action, having a big why, a massive goal, and then chasing that with every ounce of energy that you have." And yeah, it's not impossible. It doesn't matter if you're 50, if you're 60. I know some people starting in their 60s, and they're running, they're sprinting, and they're going to get there. And I hope that I hope that you're all running and sprinting, and as your star rises, man, I just want to catch your all tails, be pulled up with you. I'm so blessed by the people that we're getting to know and meet in here, and Daric, I get to be blessed to know Daric and be friends with Daric right now, because in 5 years from now, man, it's going to be hard if to be able to get in touch with Daric. It's going to be hard to get to talk to him, because he's going to be at another level. And it might be harder for y'all to talk to, folks like me and Steve, because as we elevate, it's not that we're not going to still have that same desire to be open and with you all, but because there'll be so many people, it's like Pace. Pace is so generous with his time. And he's such a giver, and he's trying to do so much for so many people. But as you elevate, there's people crowd in around you, and it's just harder. You want to give that, you're only one person. How do you do it? And so make these relationships now. You never know who's going to be the next Pace. I mean, can you imagine, man, what would it have been like to been in some of those early conversations with Pace and Jamil back before they were Pace and Jamil?
Yeah, I wonder about that too, right? Like, what would it have been like to be the first 50 to 100 students, right? Like, you look back, and that was only
Steve knows.
Yeah, exactly. So, Steve, how have you seen it change from when you first started? Now, I can only imagine how much Pace gives us now, which is a lot, to how much he gave back then with only 50, 60 students.
Well, yeah, it was crazy. I think that the biggest thing too was that, like you were saying, for you, looking at all the different options, really it was much more focused in those first the early days. So I mean, I didn't know anything. I didn't know what escrow meant. I didn't know about private lenders. I didn't know anything. And all I was told was if you're in every Zoom, because he had a Zoom at like 3 or 4 a week at that point, and they were about an hour to 2 hours long at the time. And he said, if you're in every Zoom and you're not out there, like you're just going to work and doing the Zooms and you're not out there taking action, stop coming to the Zooms. Just stop and start taking action. And that's what I did. And I didn't come back to a Zoom until I had like a deal that I was negotiating with somebody, and then got walked through that deal. And it was a crazy thing. I got handheld through the deal. That was something that was different because there was just so few people. Like, I got handheld through the deal by Pace, which was super nice. And it just made it all go off real smooth. But I still feel like you can achieve the same thing. I guess it's change. The changes, I guess, is what you're asking about. And that changes is now that there are other people in Pace's, position that he was in then. Now, like you look at our past guest, Dan, and what he does.
Dan
Quijano.
Oh yeah.
What's that?
Dan Quijano.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Dan Quijano. And you look at like what he does, and he's like in that position now. He's hands-on helping people figure out their way through things and how to get started, and get over those insecurities that they have. Standing in between them and their goal. And I think that's the big change is now, like, the community's grown and there's an opportunity to actually be paced 3 or 4 years ago. And what can that mean? I guess that means you may build opportunities helping other people that could elevate you to, a level closer to where Pace is now. And if that's your goal, I think that's definitely a cool way to go about it, is to help people within the community.
Yeah. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned so far is, even though we may not think we know a lot, we will always know more than somebody else. So there will always be people to help. And if you remember that, then you might not be as far behind as you think, right? Because there's always somebody behind you. And as long as there's somebody that knows more than you can tap into them to learn more, and just continually do that. You learn more, you help somebody else learn more, you learn more, you help somebody else. It's, it's always evolving. And Joel said something about it. When you have, it's a mindset, right? Everyone always talks about mindset, but rarely do we work on it. It's just one of those things where in all aspects of life, especially activities that have to do with failure. Baseball is a game of failure, right? You fail 7 out of 10 times and you're a multimillionaire, right? You can't go to a W-2 and fail 7 out of 10 times and you're going to get your ass fired, right? Like, mindset, you have to continuously work on it and be positive, and it's hard, right? And so people around you really matter.
Yeah, and one of the things that we're
I totally agree with you.
Oh, go ahead, Steve. That lag is killing him.
I'm sorry, that lag. But I was just going to say that I totally agree with what Daric was saying right there. Like, one of the biggest things you can do is, if you don't feel like you have any answers at all, you can always, just put it out there that you'll help people find the answer too. People can reach out to you, and maybe you just have talk to enough people where you're like, hey, I don't know what to do here, but I'll reach out to, there's like leaders in the group, like Tristan and Dan, who can really take it to that next level, and you can help these people by finding them the answer they're looking for. And then what have you done? You've educated yourself, so your time has been spent really well, because you've educated yourself on something you didn't know, and then you've also provided somebody who knows less people than you value, and that right there is value.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a great way to think about it. Again, mindset. You can have the victim mentality, or you can have the victor mentality, which you choose. Like, everything is up to you. And we all have excuses. We all make excuses. Like somebody said, we all have 24 hours in a day. So how do you choose to spend that time? We're responsible for our future. That's for sure.
One of the things that people ask a lot, and they'll come and they'll say, how can I give you value? I mean, I imagine you guys get that question too a lot, because we are leaders in Sub 2, all three of us. We're mastermind students, and Pace challenged us in the mastermind. I want you to step up as leaders. And when we ask Pace that question, Pace, how do we give you value? His answer to us is serve my community. Find ways to serve my community. You want to give us value. Don't ask us, how can I give you value? Because that's lazy, right? You're basically saying, instead of thinking hard and figuring out how I can give you value, I'm going to go up and ask you to do that work for me and
Yeah.
tell me how can I give you value. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily bad. I mean, when you're just getting started, you don't know, and I don't mind you coming up to me and asking me. I'm not trying to put you down if you've done that. Please understand. Come and do that, because I'll tell you right away, you are the value. You bringing me value just by being part of my network, by being invested in my future, and by letting me be invested in your future. You are the value. And if you want to add even more value, become a leader in my community and among my network. Become a leader if you're in Sub 2. If you want to bring value to Pace, become a leader. Serve his community, bring value to the community, help people do deals, help people. And you know what's going to happen? As you establish yourself as a leader in, whether it's in the Grow Giver group, or whether it's in Pace's free group and creative finance, or whether it's in the Sub 2 community, or wherever you're at, wherever you're focusing your attention, which, anybody who has your attention needs to value that attention, because you are valuable. Wherever you're focusing that time, become a leader and help others. And what's going to happen is people are going to be drawn to you, and they're going to bring their deals to you. They're going to want to JV with you. They're going to want to work with you. And so you're going to, just by giving and giving, by caring about their success more than your own, you're going to be amazed at how flipping fast you succeed.
Justin, on that topic specifically, when I first joined, I was the guy that reached out to people. I was like, "Hey, can I pick your brain a little bit?" Okay. And then I heard people continuously saying, "Whatever you do, don't go up to somebody and say, 'Hey, can I pick your brain?'" Right? And I'm like, "Okay, I will never do that again." But on that topic, instead of saying, "Hey, how can I bring you value?" would it be beneficial for somebody to come up and say, "Hey, what are you needing help with in your business?" And then with that answer, then you go and figure out how you can help them with what they need in their business. Is that a better way of going about it?
Yeah. I mean, and please, folks, understand, I'm not trying to put you down if you've said, how can I bring you value? Your heart is in the right place if you've done that.
I've done it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, me too. I mean, if I didn't ask that question to Pace, I would have never gotten that answer. Serve my community. So it's not to put anybody down or make you feel bad or anything, but yeah, there are better ways you can do it. One of the things, I mean, going back to Pace stories, right? One of the things he said that really impressed me and stuck with me from the beginning was, he said, he basically gave me the secret sauce, gave us all the secret sauce for how he makes some of these amazing relationships. He's like, if I see somebody out there and they're just killing it, and I want to be friends with Grant Cardone, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out and investigate how in the world can I bring him amazing value. And I'm just going to give him as much value as I can until we're friends. And if you copy that recipe, I promise you will succeed.
Yeah, that's a crazy nugget that not too many people, well, that I didn't comprehend prior to joining Sub 2. And it's crazy that, as a as a population, we're not really taught that, right? We're not, and Pace talks about it a little bit, but he grew up differently, right? He grew up understanding that there were 10 people in his house, or however many. He's got a big family. That they have to get creative and work and figure out a way to get things done. Like the common sense stuff and the creativity and thinking outside the box. Personally, I feel like we're not teaching that to the young generations as much as maybe we should be. And so it's opened my eyes joining, and I was 36 years old when I joined this community. And so now, like, I've always thought differently, but not at the level I'm trying to think now, right? I'm trying to get as creative as I can with everything I do, and to think about, okay, how do I solve these problems creatively? Like, okay, it's not just a black and white answer. Let's think about it and work our way through. And so now I'm trying to push this onto my kids, right? And have my kids have that same mentality from a young age, to think through problems and solve them creatively. There you go. David has it. I won't go down that path. I have my own opinions we can talk about for hours, but I won't go down that path.
Yeah, no, and we're definitely not a political show, and we don't definitely
But I
on
agree.
this side, pick our shows. I mean, yeah, or pick sides, even though there's, generally speaking, those involved in entrepreneurial endeavors are going to favor one side over the other. I mean, even if you've read the book Think and Grow Rich, there's a whole chapter in there on that. And if you've listened to Robert Kiyosaki, he might scare you to death with some of the things he says. So there are,
either way.
but at the same time, I mean, politics aside, no matter what side you're on, right, you should want success for your children. You should want success for the next generation. Whether you're red, blue, or purple in your leanings politically, the goal should be to win, and to set up a win for your children and for your loved ones. So.
Yeah, that's what I love about Pace. One of the things, I mean, there's a lot of things. He's a great leader, but everything. The biggest thing that I take away from Pace is everything is all based on business. Like, everything is structured for him in a way. It seems, I haven't talked to him about it, but this is what it seems. Like, he has a plan for everything, and everything is structured, and everything is a business decision for him. And that's a great way to be consistent, is always think about, okay, how is this going to, is it, I've seen people have this thing, is this pushing me towards my goals? Am I getting closer or further away from my goals in every decision that you make? And for me, that's kind of how I try to think. Obviously I fail, right? I fail every day, and that's okay. But, continually ask yourself, is this getting me closer to my goals or further away from my goals? And it's a very simple question to answer.
Yeah, I mean, and watching Pace, that's one of the things I love the way you put that. It made me come up with a thought going, you know what, Pace really displays for us, and it's something that I think we all want to emulate, is how to be hyper intentional without being fake.
Yep.
Because when you're hyper intentional and everything you do, every move you make is calculated, and there's multiple goals involved, I can just hear the cynic sitting out and saying, oh yeah, see, everything he does is for his own promotion and his own. What's wrong with that? If
Yeah.
everything that I do is for achieving the goal of bettering my life and my family's life, and the philosophy that I've adopted is a philosophy that says I need to help you first before help comes to me. I need to serve you with more value so that value comes to me. What's wrong with that? I love that. I mean, once I saw that, and I was telling my wife before I went all in, because she was all in way before me in sub two. But before I went all in, I was telling her there's something about pace. I just want to get it. I want to see the matrix. I want to see things the way he does. And, I think I'm getting closer. And I love it. But, yeah, everything we do needs to be intentional. It needs to be business related. It needs to be, how can we, how can we not waste any of these precious resources that we have? How can we leverage everything that we do so that it's win-win for everybody? It's building other people up. It's building their fortunes. It's building their businesses. But it's also a win for us, and it's bringing back those returns for us to receive.
Yeah. You hit the nail on the head, right? You can look at it multiple ways. You can look at it as, okay, everything's a sales pitch, everything is this, everything is that, or you can look at it with like, okay, look, he may be pitching something, but he's also giving you an opportunity to use a vehicle in which to do your business out of. You can choose to use it or not use it, but at the end of the day, he's doing what's best for his family. Now you can take that and learn how to do that for you and your family and utilize the same methods, or you can complain about it and hate on someone else for just using the platform to do what's best for their family. And so again, mindset is crazy. The mind is the most powerful thing on the planet, and if you use it properly, I feel like you can achieve things that you never thought were possible.
Yeah, I love that comment that Joel made there, comparing this to syndication. That's one of the things I love about multifamily real estate investing, is that it's an opportunity to partner with massive amounts of people and to build this massive win-win relationship, and it's also, it feeds that, like on the GP side of a deal. That's the general partner side of a syndication, because there's two sides: the general partner side and the limited partner side. And I'm just explaining this for anybody out there watching who doesn't know, because I hate it when people talk in a bunch of jargon and I can't get it. If you're, those on the GP side, they're not bringing money to the deal. The value that they're bringing to the deal is that they're going to manage that asset. They're going to make it worth a boatload more money than it was when they first got it. They're going to source that deal and make sure that they got it at a discount, and that the numbers work for that return. They're going to go through, the process of getting the loan funds to make it happen, to hiring the property management team and all that. But then those who partner in that deal on the limited partner side, they're the precious asset. They get paid first. Everything goes to them first. And that's how, don't get me wrong, there may be some bad partnerships. You've got to investigate those that you do business with in a big multifamily deal, because there may be one out there where they're like, no, we get paid our fees first. Well, if that's the case, you don't want to be in partnership with those. You want to be, especially when you're investing the sums of money that need to be invested in big multifamily stuff, you want to be in partnership with people that are going to be, look, you're going to get the return we promised. And if the returns that we promised don't come in, you get paid and we don't. And that may be something that happens in those deals for the first couple of months, where those on the management side of the deal aren't getting a paycheck because the investors get paid first. And it's got to be that way, because without the investors, the deal isn't even possible. So they're the most invaluable part of that deal.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you for bringing that up, Joel. That's a great point. And and that's definitely how we want to do all types of business. We want to put other people first. And I know I've said it already in this show, but it's like I want, maybe it to even, something similar to it to go on my tombstone when I die, something like he cared more about other people's success than his own, and success came to him because of it.
Yeah, that's that hits differently, right? It's I like to think of it like this. There's a lot of people that say they want to do a lot of things, but there's a few people that actually do what they say they want to do. And so that, you can totally differentiate yourself once you start living. And they talk about it in church a lot. Be the change that you want to see in the world, right? But oftentimes we don't. Personally, I don't do that. I may say one thing, but once you're able to hold yourself accountable and actually do the things that you say you're going to do, you actually start becoming a better person, not just outwardly, but inwardly too. You think different about yourself. And so hold yourself accountable, man. That's it's powerful.
One of the things Pace says Steve's unmuted himself, so I want to give him a chance to talk again, but I'll get out that, oh no, I guess he is still muted. Sorry, Steve. The lag guys, bear with us. We're so privileged to have Steve here with us, and he's being off the mic so long because of the lag, but last thing we want to do is have him feel left out. Pace says, and it's one of my favorite quotes that he does, it's entitlement is a disease.
Yeah.
Gratitude is the cure.
Yeah, I like that.
And so when Joel posted that just a couple of minutes ago about, a gratitude, number one, thanking God for all of this right now. That's the thing. If you're living in gratitude, I mean, gratitude fixes so many things, gratitude, thankful for being where you're at, thankful for having what you have, thankful for, for all that has been given to us. You can't be a victim when you're thankful.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
So I think we're in an hour. We're an hour and a half in to our hour-long show.
Yeah.
Daric, thank you so much for being on with us, brother. This has been amazing.
Absolutely. Thank you for allowing me to do my first podcast.
Well, hopefully this is the first of many more, and I know we'd love to have you on again. This has been fantastic.
Anytime, just let me know. I'm here. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
You guys have a good one. I'm going to go get some lunch now.
Me three. All right. Folks, thank you so much for joining us today on the Grow Giver podcast. It's been our pleasure and privilege to get to bring you some value. If we brought you some value, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please join the Facebook community at facebook.com/groups/The Grow Giver. That's an opportunity for you guys to be able to get hands-on involved in learning real estate investing and partnering with us. You can JV with people in there. You can squat up with people in there. You can find people to loan to you and invest in your deals. And it's an amazing place. And we want to promote our friends as well. And there's some other exciting things going on with some of the other multifamily groups. We're not just multifamily. We tried to do in the Grow Giver just about everything real estate investing wise, but multifamily is a main emphasis that we have. We also have some things coming up, hopefully in the not too distant future, a morning mindset. We're going to probably start it out as a morning mindset show when that does start. It'll very shortly turn into a morning mindset Zoom. So you'll want to get in early, because if you're an early adopter of that show and you start participating in it early, you'll be able to get into the Zoom when it changes to a Zoom, and you'll be in a position to where when that gets too big, if you're in, you're in. And so you'll want to do that. We have other things coming up during the week. We'll do broker outreach. We'll help you underwrite your deals, talk more and more about different facets of REI and real estate investing. And also, like I put it out there, especially if you're a sub-2 student in the community and you're thinking, I've been wanting to do something with a podcast, that sort of thing. We're actively thinking of taking on maybe 1 or 2 other shows where we can help you become part of the Grow Giver community, giving value through a podcast. And we would love to partner with you and help you on that. So please get in contact with me there. Again, Vina Jetty next week, Pace Morby soon after that. We also have lined up in the very, very near future. I've got a date for that already. That's going to be a midweek show. Because of scheduling and whatnot. We've got the Bash Brothers who are going to be on with us. The Bash Brothers, Tyler Townsley and Eddie. What is Eddie's last name? Marin. Yeah. We're going to have them on. We're excited about that. That will be the Wednesday following the Vina Jetty interview. And the reason why it's going to be a Wednesday is because that weekend is going to be the mastermind in Arizona, and Steve and I are going to go out to that because we're mastermind students and we can. And so hopefully we'll get to hang out with you a little bit while we're there, Daric. That'll be amazing.
I will be there for sure.
All right. And I need to block some nasty spammer in the chat. So I'll take care and do that. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will see you in the next one. Bye for now.